The biggest hedgehog battle in history unfolds in theaters with the movie Sonic the Hedgehog 3, featuring the showdown between Shadow and Sonic alongside his friends. Get ready to dive into all these hidden details and Easter eggs, but before that, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notifications so you can get our new videos as fast as Sonic. Here you have 15 hidden details from the first trailer of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. The third installment of the Sonic movie series is titled Sonic the Hedgehog 3, but in Japan, it has a completely different name, Sonic X Shadow Tokyo Mission. This isn't the first time that this has happened either, as Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was titled Sonic vs. Knuckles. This time, however, the name does actually say a lot about the movie, because a large part of the action does take place in the Japanese capital of Tokyo. Now, the script for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is based on the events of the video game Sonic Adventure 2, the sequel to Sonic Adventure where Sonic and his friends had to face the threats of Dr. Eggman, Rouge, and Shadow. This game was released way back in 2001, so it took over 20 years for a script to finally be adapted into a movie. Now, although it is based on a game that's over 2 decades old, that doesn't mean you're not going to have any surprises, because the story won't be exactly the same, and Sonic's lore will change to adapt its world and universe to that of the movies. At the end of the trailer, you can see Dr. Eggman meeting his grandfather, Professor Gerald Robotnik, a brilliant scientist who was involved in the creation of Shadow and the ARK Space Colony project. Now, interestingly, in the video game, he's already dead, so the movie has obviously taken some creative liberties to bring him back to life and create a new plot for the occasion. In case you didn't notice, probably because of his amazing acting, but Jim Carrey, the actor who plays Dr. Robotnik, also plays his grandfather, Gerald Robotnik. So in this scene, you're seeing the same actor playing 2 different roles. Even though it seemed like Robotnik had died at the end of Sonic 2, he's back here. And according to Jim Carrey, he's gonna play the role as Eggman as many times as needed, despite already being over 60 years old. Inside Dr. Eggman's lab, you can see a crab's blueprint on one of the wall screens. This image might belong to one of the Doctor's badniks, specifically the Crabbots or crab meats, robotic enemies with a crab-like appearance that appear in both the video games and the animated series. However, up until now, these robots hadn't appeared in the movies. When Shadow pulls off that slick slide with his Dark Rider during the trailer, he's actually playing homage to the iconic scene from the animated movie Akira. In this scene, the protagonist, Shotaro Kaneda, performs a stylish slide in front of the camera in the middle of a highway. But of course, we can't fault you if you didn't recognize it, because this pose has been replicated many times over in video games and movies. The drawing that Tom shows Sonic to remind him of his past is a representation of Sonic's childhood living in Green Hill. Here, you can actually see the iconic loop from the Green Hill stage, the owl Longclaw who appeared in the first movie and took care of Sonic, and a sunflower, one of Green Hill's most typical flowers that Sonic gives to Longclaw to show his affection. During the beginning of the trailer, you can hear the following phrase,
"And we need Team Sonic's immediate assistance."
This phrase, spoken by the commander, directly references the video game Sonic Heroes, where you can find Team Sonic consisting of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, Team Dark with Shadow, Rouge the Bat, and E123 Omega, Team Rose with Amy Rose, Cream the Rabbit, and the Big Cat, and finally, Team Chaotix with Espio, Charmy Bee, and Vector. Though don't get your hopes up too high, because it's still unknown how many of these Sonic Universe characters will eventually make it into the cinematic universe. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 has paid attention to the smallest details to be a faithful representation of the story it wants to tell. If you look at the picture that Professor Gerald Robotnik has hanging from his lab coat, you'll see that it uses the exact same photo as Professor Gerald in the video games. Maria is one of the most important characters in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 because she is the main reason why Shadow is turned evil. Maria Robotnik is portrayed by actress Alila Brown, and she's the granddaughter of Professor Gerald Robotnik and the cousin to Dr. Eggman. Now, in the games, she lives in the ARK colony with her grandfather, who, while trying to search for a cure for her neuroimmune deficiency syndrome, ended up creating Shadow. In the trailer, you can see her interacting with Shadow in a flashback, although shortly after, she tragically appears lying on the ground where Robotnik and Shadow mourn her loss. When Robotnik decides to end his monotony after Sonic's defeat in the second movie, the first thing he does is shave and change his clothes. If you look closely in the dressing room, when it's occupied by the Doctor, his logo appears, a signature that has been seen throughout the series, both in the movies and in the games. The story of the Sonic movies with physical changes in the characters is very long to tell. Well, this story continues with Shadow, but started with Ugly Sonic, who even became a meme and was a co-star in the movie Chip and Dale. Tails also changed compared to how he appeared at the end of Sonic 1, and Shadow also looks quite different from the final scene of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. In Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Shadow looks more menacing, with a less rounded head and more resemblance to Sonic. Jeff Fowler was the animator for Shadow in his first video game, and has personally worked on Shadow's design and animation for the movie. The most adorable creatures in the Sonic universe are of course the Chow, small magical beings that hatch from eggs and can come in many forms and colors. In Sonic the Hedgehog 3, they appear in a Japanese cafe called Chow Garden, a reference to the Chow Garden that first appeared in Sonic Adventure, where of course you could take care of the Chow as if they were Tamagotchis. For this reason, if you look closely, you can find some Chow eggs hidden in the place. But in addition to this, the Chow in this scene are very special because they represent some iconic Sega characters. The first one, on the left, wears a Mexican hat and some red maracas like the character Amigo from the rhythm game Samba de Amigo. Among the audience, there's another special Chow because it represents the flying type, specifically the protagonist of Knights, a video game developed by Sega where a kind of purple jester has to fight against children's nightmares so they can sleep and dream peacefully. The orange one on stage has horns and represents the power type, and on the right, very well hidden, is Knuckles Chow with its green ball on its head. Unlike Sonic, Shadow can reach breakneck speeds partly due to his shoes, super skates with rockets in the soles that propel him forward. During the movie, Shadow is shown sliding across the ground and water, just as he moves in the games. He also teleports, a reference to the first encounter between Sonic and Shadow in the games. According to the Sonic team, Shadow no longer needs to use guns like in his solo game, but what he will use in the movie is a motorcycle, a reference to the Dark Rider, his personal vehicle in Shadow the Hedgehog that also appears in the Sonic racing games. Oh yeah, and in case you didn't know yet, the American cast of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 has Keanu Reeves as Shadow's voice actor. Talking about a stacked cast! During a moment in the trailer, the classic Green Hill song from the Sonic games is hidden.
He's too powerful.
Although in this video, it's almost unrecognizable and with a much more epic tone, decorating the fight between Shadow and Sonic. This level of Sonic trivia ends here, but you can move on to the next level through these videos we leave you here. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on the next ones. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.